Amanda here from Create Your Future. So today we have Denise joining us. Hi, Denise.
Hi, Amanda. Hi, guys.
Hey guys, we have an exciting video. So today's video, we're going to go through some tips, tricks, and just overall hacks on how you can actually get your manifestation going again. If you're feeling stuck or if nothing's manifesting or if you're getting the opposite of your manifestations. So yeah, welcome, Denise.
Thank you. So these are little things that along my journey that I've experienced and through coaching that I've come to realizing will help other people. Just for different areas, when you're at different places, different things are happening that have you feel stuck. So, for example, one of them is when you first start out, even when you don't first start out, but oftentimes when we first learn about this and we try doing it, we have this concept or idea that maybe it's not real, maybe it doesn't work, so we don't see things happening. We don't see things manifesting. So the first thing is to always remember to keep reaffirming. I am seeing results. Things are happening. What I want, my intentions are manifesting. Things are showing up for me. But another thing that I've realized will help kind of bridge that gap between conscious manifestation and unconscious manifestation, just meaning by unconscious that we didn't intend to create something, to remember that you've actually manifested every single thing you've ever experienced from birth until now. And so taking credit for those manifestations. So something I do throughout my day is when I experience something that feels really joyous or good. If somebody offers me something, I have a great conversation, I smell something that smells beautiful, I stop and reflect on it and then say, I created that. I made that happen. And I feel like that's helping me. I mean, I know that that's helping me bridge that gap and really take credit and recognize that I am a powerful creator. And even if I didn't remember a conscious thought about having something happen in my life, I did create it. And so taking credit for it is helping build that momentum and keep you going with, hey, I can do this. I am doing it. Look at all these amazing things I've created. So
Exactly. It just gives that feeling it's building that belief, because I know that's the secret is, faith, belief,
yeah.
right? When we have that faith and belief, we don't have that argument in our head when it hasn't shown up yet. We don't have those questions, why isn't it here yet? When we notice the lack of it not there, then we just reaffirm it. So, live from the end of having faith by, no matter what, whether you have that faith or not, live from the end of having faith, which is stop questioning. Just reaffirm if you don't see it yet. Tell yourself things like it is going to show up. I know my thoughts create. I get evidence of my thoughts creating every day, right? So very, very important, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, don't make that decision that it hasn't shown up yet, that it's not going to, or that it's not working. Keep deciding that it is showing up. I am seeing it. This is happening.
Exactly. Because at that moment you decide it's not coming, guess what? It stopped.
Yep. And that, believing and feeling, there's definitely something, we know that when we look at the things that we manifest effortlessly without trying, we have felt them, we believe them. And then as a result of believing it or thinking it, focusing on it, we have a feeling that manifests from it. And then the physical thing manifests in the 3D. So I think Neville has learned, through experience, well, this is how it happens naturally. So I'm going to mimic that. So believing is the secret. Feeling is the secret. We don't really have to start there, though. If you continue with your affirmations and your intentions, the feelings will follow, the belief will follow, that the experience will manifest, the evidence will follow.
Exactly. And that was the other thing that Neville actually explained in that book, is that just by filling your mind, your consciousness with the thoughts of having what you want, and and affirming that you have what you want, coming from that end of having it, reacting like you already have it, then you are actually creating the feeling within you, because every thought that we have manifests a feeling, right? Yeah. So if, for instance, today Andrew's picking me up some special bread from bakery, I'm excited. The thought of that's making me excited, right? So right there, that thought is now manifested a feeling inside of me, right? So everything we focus on creates a feeling. And if you're still enough and you're focused enough, you can actually feel it. Sometimes it's very subtle, but sometimes it can be quite strong depending on how much focus you put to it, right? So, check in with yourself. If things aren't working and you're feeling anxious and you're feeling upset and you're feeling frustrated, you've got to get on top of your thoughts. And like Denise, she's totally right. Just keep focusing, focusing on what you want. You're going to automatically create the feeling that way, right?
Yeah. And if you really are having trouble, a good way to get into it is, rather than trying to sort of hammer the thoughts in, maybe take a step back get out a notebook if you want and start asking yourself, well, why do I want this? Why do I want this relationship? Why do I want this money? Why do I want this house? Why do I want this job? And just in asking yourself why, you're going to find yourself automatically answering that. So you'll be focusing on all the reasons why you want it. It makes me feel good. It makes me happy. It brings me joy. It's going to make my life so easy. And so that's a good way to really get into the feeling. And
exactly. And when you say makes me happy, you've just called in the feeling of being happy. You've manifested that. When you've said it brings me joy.
It with the thing.
Exactly. So, you can wake up and say, I intend to feel happy. I intend to feel joy. I intend to feel like I have faith that my thoughts create. You manifest all those. There's nothing that you can't manifest. Oh, I love that. Write down all the reasons why. Don't look at all the reasons why it isn't happening. Look at all the reasons why. One thing I'll add to that is I always like to add in the component of I can have this because I'm good enough, just to take it off that pedestal. Totally. Bring it down,
Yeah. And I also have told clients that when it is related to relationship, anything really, you can actually do this with anything. But when you start reveling in the reasons why you want it, because we feel so connected when we're together, because it feels so joyous, we're so harmonious, our communication's so great. Also start saying, and they feel that too. Decide that it's coming from that side as well. Because sometimes we get in that place of, well, I know I want it, but what if they don't? Or, well, don't create that. And now start looking at why you want it and affirming, yeah, they're feeling that too. That's real. I'm creating that. It's coming from that side as well.
Exactly. I haven't said this on this channel for a long time, but I'm going to say it now. I'll tell you what they think. I'll tell you what they feel. You want to know what they think? You want to know what they're going to say? Well, let me tell you what they're going to say. Okay. Let me tell you exactly how this is going to happen.
Yeah, I love it.
Right? You're the creator of it, right? Do it as detailed as you want, or do it as general as you want, right? Generally, what I would do, generally speaking, my rule of thumb is if I have a lot of complaints and blocks with something, I'll go a little bit more detailed just to cover all of those blocks off, right?
Yep.
If it's more of you know what, I just know it's going to happen, and you know what, surprise me. I don't care how it's going to happen, but it's going to happen, and it's going to be even better than I could even, make it, then I'll go a little bit more general and just throw it out there like that. The one thing with being general like that is you have to just keep reaffirming no matter what shows up, even if it looks like it's the opposite of what you want. You have to just keep reaffirming that you're getting what you want, it's leading to what you want. Yep. Okay, so for instance, an example of that would be, let's say for instance, you're affirming that you have a great relationship, okay? But you have a story that the person you're with isn't great. So they may actually dump you and then someone else may come in the picture. Like one door closes, another door opens. Same thing with a job. You're affirming that you've got this job. And again, your brain is going to take the path of least resistance. And then you might get fired from that job and then you get this job. Okay. So, and you've got to keep, but that's not to say that you can't change the trajectory. Okay. You can recognize that and go, whoa, I'm being too general here. Okay. No, I want the great relationship with that person, not that one. So back off there. Don't want you. I got to work here. So then again, that's going to be your cue that you may need to get a little bit more specific because something was blocking it to actually push your boat over that way. So think of it as wind, kind of blowing you on the water, right? So you're still steering the ship, but if you're going to make it general, not specific enough, you may get, have that moment where, but if you're like, look at, I want this and something better, which nothing wrong with that, then, you've just got to keep reaffirming. So you're always in control. Like you're always, even when you think you're not in control, you're in control. Yep. You're doing it.
Yep. I love that too. Think of it as like the wind. Like you've got your sails up and the wind is just catching you and your job is to just read the winds. What are the winds saying back to me? And then adjust your sails accordingly. I
just got this picture of the wind blowing my boat one way and I've got the paddles out going, no. The other way. No. We are not going that way. We're going that way.
I love it.
That would be when you need to have a mental diet.
Yep.
That would be day one of a mental diet.
Yeah, the battle. It is. Yep.
Right?
Yep. To get through it and know that Yeah, set the intention and know that your thoughts will create. If you don't believe your intentions and you're battling yourself, it's okay. My thoughts create, so it will change, it will catch up, it will shift.
Well, and that's really, how I really got faith. And is somebody once told me, they're like, just keep focusing on what you want, the power of
Yeah.
positive thinking, like just keep focusing on what you want, it'll come. And
Yeah.
so I just kept focusing on what I want and redirecting myself to it. And then eventually things started showing up and I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
whoa. Like I knew law of attraction from a very young age and everyone as you pushed out. But I didn't realize exactly how I was doing it, right?
Right.
And there came a time in my life where I intended that I would figure it out. And, and that's when all these little tidbits came to me. And I realized that, yeah, it's my thoughts. And especially when I started to get a little bit more ambitious in my mid 30s to start a company and all this in a YouTube channel, that was the biggest, test of my life basically was, can I consciously create this? Like, how do people consciously create these things? And, and someone just said, just keep focusing. And I just kept focusing. And sure enough, you know what, that's what had the faith, because things just started showing up and I'm like, whoa, that works. Now, if I look at anything in my reality and I think, oh, this isn't working, I'm stuck, I think, no, Amanda, you've done this before. All you have to do is focus on what you want, whether you believe it or not, because I've got the faith that my thoughts they've created in the past, right? So guys, create those little list of intentions, because that's going to be sometimes, the thing that gets you through. It's those little tiny manifestations of, somebody bringing you fried chicken that you thought was impossible and it showed up and you're like, oh, okay, like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And if you're focusing on what you want and it's not showing up and you think you have a block that you can't find, I mean, also don't intend that you have a block, but if you really, if it's money related or relationship related and you're focusing on what you want, but there's a part of you that just doesn't think it can happen for you and you don't know why, write out how you feel about that thing. How do I feel about X? How do I feel about this amount of money? How do I feel about this home? How do I feel about this person? And then write out how you think they feel about you. And from there, learn, do I well, how does money feel about me? What's my relationship with money? How do I feel about money? And what does money feel about me? How do I feel about this person? And what do I think this person feels about me? And then use that to replace, direct. Yeah.
You nailed it. I remember one thing when it came to manifesting money for me and business is I had this belief that I'd have to take a lot of action to make it happen. And now, honestly, like that was a subconscious belief. So if I wasn't doing enough, I didn't get enough results. But that was running in the subconscious and I couldn't quite figure out what was blocking me. And then finally one day I kind of sat down. I said, no, I intended I would figure it out. And then all of a sudden it just kind of dawned on me. I'm like, I think I need to do more. Like I always got to be doing stuff. But I'm like, consciously, I know that's not true. So as soon as I became aware of that and went consciously, it's not true, that's when it actually shifted. Same thing one day, I was looking at basically working on health and wellness. And I'm like, no, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to think about this today. I'm going to figure out why things aren't working out for me and health-wise here. And then all of a sudden I had this thought. I'm like, I don't believe my thoughts can change my health. And I'm like, well, that's silly. I'm like, that's dumb. I'm like, I know I don't believe that. But I'm like, but in the back of my mind, I do a little bit. I was like, wow, weird. Then I traced it back to when I created that. And I was like, oh, yeah, I remember that time in my life. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm like, I had a lot of limiting beliefs about things. I'm like, oh, boy. So then as soon as all that came to the surface, I was able to go, no, that's not even true. Like, why would I even think that? As soon as you do that, you make that shift, that fundamental shift. And you've renounced it. Like, it's really, really that simple. It's just about recognizing what it is, right? So if you can't find your blocks, right, you can either intend you have 0 blocks and resistance, but again, if that's still not working, sign up with one of the coaches. They're going to listen to your story and they're going to pick it right out. Yeah. Because it'll come out in your language. Like it would honestly come out in your language, right?
Yeah, I have clients sometimes that they say, I don't want to tell the story. I know I'm not supposed to talk about it. And I'm like, no, you're definitely supposed to talk about it here because that's how we figure out why you created it.
Exactly. But guess what? They're right there. Being scared about talking about it is resisting your current reality. You're going to create more of it. Okay. So the reason is because if you were past it, it wouldn't make a difference. Okay.
Yeah.
Because if you're past it, it wouldn't, I can say right now wholeheartedly, you know what my story used to be with Andrew is that he didn't want to be in a committed relationship. I can say that because I know that's not true. Like with every fiber of my being, of course, if I keep repeating that old story, it's eventually going to come back again. But saying it once isn't going to be a huge deal when I'm over here. So, you know, we in a controlled environment, yes, share your story to all your friends. No, please don't.
Yeah. If you have to talk about your story to your friends, I always say steer, go into, I don't want to talk about it. I'm working on me, or I'm just focusing on myself right now, or that's all working itself out. Or if you actually have to like report something, if there's, well, I know you texted him. Did he text you back or something like that? You say the reality, but in your head you keep saying, oh, he texts me all the time. We're talking all the time. So it's not so much what you're saying. It's more of what you're thinking while you're saying it, which is why we can have judgments. We meet somebody and we're so kind and pleasant, but in our head we're judging them, and then they end up showing up the way we've been judging them. So it's what's happening in here.
You're right, because you always see that one couple and you're like, oh, you guys are together. No, we're not. Oh, you're together. Oh, no, we're not. And then, the next week they're together. You know what I mean? It's like, well, how come her saying that they're not together, it didn't work, and they are together, like, because everybody knew it, right? But, oh, no, he doesn't like me, right? It's the affirming, right? It's the mental affirming and getting yourself to a part of believing. But, the biggest part here is you've got to dump out those subconscious thoughts. They've got to come to the surface. You have to revisit them. It's your brain does you a favor. It says, oh, I'm going to lock in those beliefs for you because you've created them. And now it works in your favor if your life is working for you. Like I've got some really great beliefs about money, business, people. I don't need to change them. I'm happy they're locked in there. But when I want to change something, right, those beliefs that aren't so great in that area of my life, they're locked in there. They're doing me a favor. Now you just got to bring them to the surface and rework them, renounce them, become aware of them. Ignoring it isn't going to help. You have to bring it to the surface, acknowledge it, renounce it, not dwell in it, not spend a weekend with it, not make it pasta and sit on the couch and watch Netflix and, and cry and worry over it. No. Right.
Yeah. Which also brings me to like, if you're stuck on resentment or hurt, past memories that keep coming up. Something that I think helps with that is writing out, or even thinking. I like writing, so I'm a writer. I like to do that. But you can also just do this with your conscious thought, but run through these memories as you remember them. You can either revise them so that they happen differently and then go with that, or you can run through them and then take accountability and say, oh yeah, I created that. I created that with these thoughts and assumptions. I forgive myself for creating that version of that person. I forgive myself for creating that experience, and go through that. And then another thing too, I think that helps move through resentment and hurt is to start affirming when you do think of things. Oh, they've already apologized and I've already forgiven them. We're already over it.
That one's so good. Exactly. We're already over it. It's so yesterday, because once you get over it, they get over it. Right. And
more often than not, it paves the way for that apology that you've been hoping will come through, because you've already declared that it's happened. So you're creating it.
And you're focusing on it rather than, because really what you need to get past is the hurt and the resentment. Like that's what you need to get past, because once you're past it, then there's no reason for your reality to give you more of it. So if you're holding on to hurt and resentment until you get an apology, how can the universe and yourself bring you an apology? It has to bring you more hurt and resentment, right? So it's never going to be like, okay, I'm going to sit here hurt and resented until you apologize to me and I don't care. Well, how is the universe supposed to bring you an apology? It can't. The law is, it has to bring you more resentment and hurt. So that's why we say you have to get there first. Once you're there, then the other person will be there. Once everybody's there, then it's in the past and everybody's sorry and everybody wants to move on, because what are we committed to? Having a healthy, happy relationship and feeling good today? Or are we emotionally attached to that apology to make us feel better? If we're emotionally attached to that apology to make us feel better, guess what? It's never going to happen, because the only person in control of your feelings is you. Nobody else is responsible for how you feel except for you. That was my biggest breakthrough in relationships, is nobody can make me feel anything. I choose to feel things, right?
Yep. Yeah,
So,
accountability is huge. It
oh
changes
yeah.
everything. Yep.
Oh yeah. I know, like, me and Andrew joke about everyone is you pushed out, and it's like, and he's talks, I'm like, you're the reason I'm crazy. You think women are crazy. It's not my fault. But that's not true. Everybody has to take responsibility for themselves. This is the only way it works. Okay. So in, law of attraction, with everybody is being pushed out, you can't blame yourself for everybody. You have to intend that everybody takes responsibility for themselves, because you don't need to have the weight of the world on your shoulders. You are not responsible for everything in this world. You're responsible for your reality and the way it shows up, but you've got to intend that other people take responsibility for it as well, and it's going to go a lot smoother, because you still have to, in some sense, take a look at them as their own entity and not blame yourself for everything. Okay, so for instance, you're allowed to say, look, I intend that Jerry understands what he did wrong and apologizes, and we're already totally over it because he's a great guy. Like, you still have to look at it from that point of view, not just that it's all you, right? Because you've created them as a separate person, even though we're all one and they are still you. Well, they're your subconscious controlling them. Look at it that way, rather than, you're creating everything and it's all your fault.
Yeah, and intend that through that apology, there will also be changed behavior to follow.
Exactly.
And out of this situation will be the changed behavior that I've been looking for.
Exactly. Yeah. And one thing that just comes to mind when it's about being stuck, I know what I always say is, look, I don't care what happens, but I'm doing it now. I'm changing this right now. I'm doing it. I resolve to do this thing, like whatever it happens to be, right?
Yep, the motivation. I love that.
Yeah.
The last thing, we talk about this a lot sometimes, but I just wanted to reiterate again, is that, you talk about the desire, the wanting, not having the thing is important, that we feel inferior to it, because that's what makes us want it and expand to it. So a way I've been explaining that to myself and some of my clients is that don't think that because you don't have it, you're not good enough. That's not why you don't have it. It's easy to say, well, if I were good enough, I would have it. That's not true. You don't have it because that's what's spawning the desire to have it, to become more, to get it. So don't let it be evidence that you're not good enough. Let it be evidence that it's something you get to have. It's something that's going to come to you.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that. Oh yeah, I like that. I like that. I aspire to be it because I can have it. I aspire to be it because it's mine. If I can think that, if I can create it to be something I can have, it's done. It's mine. I love that. And I'm good enough to have it. And it's going to happen. It's going to happen now. Yeah. Right?
Yes. I love it.
I think the biggest thing, though, is to create the intentions that everything's happening. It's happening now. It's already done. You feel like it's going to happen. It's never overlook those tiny little intentions like that. The other thing is don't beat yourself up wherever you are in your journey. The thing is, right, is it's not about, look at being perfect in all areas of your life. I mean, work on what you want and accept yourself where you're not where you want to maybe be. And, and don't judge yourself, and nobody else is going to judge you. Everything happens when you're ready to let it happen. I mean, I've worked on different things in different times of my life, and I mean, the main thing, right, that to judge yourself on, or if you want to, is that you know how to do this. And if you're not doing it, it's a choice, not a failure. Right? Oh, let me be the first to tell you guys, look, I know how to manifest, health and being skinnier, but I'm going to tell you, it ain't a failure. It's definitely a choice. Okay. Like 100%. Okay. It's not, so never always look at it that way, that it's not about success and failure. It's about choice. And there's nothing wrong with whatever choice you want to make at any time in your life, and accept yourself and love yourself. And then if you accept and love yourself, everybody's going to accept and love you as well.
Yeah. And then making those new choices will be easier because you're not beating yourself up about it. So then, moving into that new space of choosing to manifest consciously for that thing you've been avoiding, now it becomes easier because you're not feeling bad about not doing it.
Exactly.
I'll do it when I get to it. It's fine.
Exactly. And enjoy life the way it is, right? That's the big thing, is celebrate, be happy and grateful and thankful for what you have now. Don't resist by judging and calling yourself a failure. That's resisting. You're only going to get more of that and not feel very good in the process, right? And again, that's going to cause you to be stuck as well, right? And things aren't going to manifest. Well, things that you want aren't going to manifest because remember, like Denise said, you're always manifesting, okay? It's just when you're feeling stuck and nothing's manifesting, nothing you want is manifesting. There's a difference. Let's make that distinction.
The things I'm trying to make happen are happening.
Exactly.
Stuff that's happening.
Exactly. But, you know, and I take that a step further and I look at everything, even when I don't want it. And I'm like, oh, yeah, you know what? I totally did create that. I don't want it. I don't like it. But yeah, that was me. I did that. And then, you know what? That just takes a bad situation and it still calls in that feeling of, okay, wait, I've got faith in this, you know? So it's, like I said, it's only about having the correlation between your thoughts and your reality. And the stronger that you have that faith and belief that those two things are related, which now with quantum physics and actual mainstream science saying that it's a thing, I mean, we all, no matter who we are, can get there. I'm a science person. I needed the science to believe it, okay? Some people are more spiritual and they just knew and they just trusted, okay? So it doesn't matter what type of person you are, which end of the scale, there's plenty of scientific proof or even, you know, spiritual stuff out there to, you know, to suit everybody's needs to come to that feeling of belief and faith in our thoughts creating. I mean, the power of positive thinking has been around since the beginning of time, you know?
Yeah.
Crazy. So amazing.
We're so powerful.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much, Denise, for all these amazing tips. I know so many people are going to get breakthroughs and have a moment and be like, ha ha!
Yay! Right? Get them, guys.
Exactly. And guys, thank you for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.